is basically use one form of media to search another form, a bit like Google Images. So you can type in orange and you'll get pictures of oranges. Text in, images out. And we've got an example of that I can show you. So this is one of our latest examples, and it's on GitHub. So you can type in someone wearing a hat and voila, pictures of people in hats. Or a kid playing and voila, a kid playing, and so on and so forth. We also offer multimodal search. So this is, you can enter a query and this query will search through, well, in this case, images and text, two modals. So as we can see here, these are images of red Nike sneakers that the search query returned. But we can't see from the picture that these sneakers are imported. That's because this would be included in the text of the sneakers. So from one search query, we're searching pictures of red Nike sneakers, but also looking at the text of these and finding out ones which are imported. So as Hassan said, we have a whole bunch of features. We save time. With tools like Cookie Cutter, you can bootstrap a Jina project in just minutes. We're cloud native. We have all of those cool words like containerization, microservices, all of those awesome things. We offer universal search, so large-scale indexing of any kind of data, first-class support for AI models, and plug-and-play functionality with Jina Hub. So you can just extend Jina with your own simple Docker scripts or Docker image, Python scripts or Docker images. Now, enough talking. You want to see it in action. So example one, we've got a lyrics search. This search is a great big database of lyrics, and naturally we have Beyonce, because what lyrics search would be complete without her? So in this example, we're going to use JinaBox, which is Jina's user-friendly front end. It all runs in the web browser, and you can do any kind of search with it. Actually, no. Correction, we are going to watch the video of this one. JinaBox comes later. So there you have it, real-time deep learning powered text search with live previews. For our next example, the one using JinaBox, we all love Pokemon, right? Well, I'm a little too old for it, unfortunately, but I still like it. So in this example, we're going to use JinaBox, which is Jina's user-friendly front end. And we're going to do a similarity search based on a user query. So here we can see JinaBox. You can search text, image, audio, or video. And in this case, we've got some example images down here. So you can just drag the image of a Pokemon, and it will find images of similar Pokemon from the data set that it indexed. We don't just have to drag in an image of a Pokemon, we can drag in an image of something else, and it'll find the closest Pokemon to that. So we've got this cute little fella, this salamander or axolotl, and well, he or she is pink, and it's returning pictures of pink Pokemon. But let's try it, push it a little further with your favorite singer and mine, Beyonce. So let's find the closest Pokemon to Beyonce. Drag and drop. And wow, yeah, Beyonce looks a lot better as a singer than as a Pokemon. Man, she is fierce. All right. We also offer examples online for things like feature extraction, GIF search, or GIF search, however you want to say it. We're all cool here. Client-server architecture, and we're always working on more and more examples to share with the community to showcase what Jina can do. Now, example 3 is a slightly simpler example. So our Hello World example, it takes the fashion MNIST dataset. This is a really common dataset used in deep learning. It's just simple black and white pictures, very low res, things like shirts, boots, sneakers, tops, pants. And instead of the user entering a query, Jina will randomly select 16 or so examples, and then it'll find similar pictures to the examples in the data set. So this all runs out of a Docker image. It's dead simple to set up. I've pre-indexed it already to save time, though it doesn't really take that long, but nobody wants to sit through that in a presentation, right? So at the end of the indexing, it spits out an example like this. So on the left, we've got our query, which is a randomly selected subset of images, rather a lot more than the 16 I said. And then it finds similar images to that. This is one of the simplest Jina apps we've got out there. So how does it work? So in Jina, we have a load of concepts, which you can read more about in Jina 101. But in this hackathon, the ones you'll probably want to focus on are flows and pods. Now, pods are the brains behind Jina. We'll get to those in a minute. But a flow is a specific task you want to achieve. In the case of searching, this would typically be indexing the data or taking a user's query and finding the closest match. So a flow consists of different pods. They're all connected, one after the other, and the flow acts as a pipeline, telling each pod which other pods it should connect to, passing some parameters, and managing state and context. And the flow, we're super flexible on this. If you want, you can write it directly in Python code, or you can just write a simple YAML file, as we can see on the bottom left. Or on the right, whoops, you can see the Jina dashboard, where you can drag and drop your own flow. Just select the pods, drag and drop, connect them up, and then you can export them to YAML or even import other flows as YAML. So the pods, the flow is the task. The pods are each step of the task. So in the case of indexing data, you'd want to segment it, encode it. When you're querying, you'd also want to rank it. They're connected together in the flow, and they're the brains of Jina. So when we talk about deep learning things like transformers or torch or Distilbert, this is all defined in the pods. And again, these pods are defined in YAML files. YAML all the way down. So that's not the whole family. We've got chunks, we've got documents, we've got Ps, executors, drivers. You can read about all of those in Jina 101. But flows and pods are the higher level abstractions that you will probably be primarily using during this hackathon. And then when you want to run it, there's a few bits and bobs you have to put in app.py. Then it's as simple as running Python app.py index or app.py query. And then once it's indexing, you can monitor it all using our dashboard, which also offers the functionality to drag and drop your own flows. And then you can query it with JinaBox, as I demonstrated in the Pokemon example. So some key tips for you moving forwards in this hackathon, because these will save your sanity. The latest version of Jina is 0.5.5. We're releasing quite often, so if you downloaded a version to play with a few days ago, be sure to update it, because Jina 0.5.5 is compatible with a lot more of our examples. Use Python 3.7 or 3.8. You really don't want to be using 2.7 for this. It will not work. No matter what you do, it's not going to work. If you're on Windows, I've heard some reports of Jina being able to work on WSL. In my own experience, I've got it working on Windows under VirtualBox and Ubuntu 20.04. And when you're working with Python, not just Jina, but any Python development project, use a virtual environment. Otherwise, you'll get this. You'll get your system libraries with your development libraries clashing and getting mixed up, and you will not have a good day. So, time for me to wrap it up. Jina offers support for a whole range of searching, short, long text, images, video, audio, and we can do text to text, text to image, food to bar, you name it. So we're multifaceted. We offer a customizable workflow, containerization, distributed workload, the whole shebang. Next steps for all of you, check out Jina 101 to get an overview of the components I spoke about, like flows and pods. Get onto building my first Jina app. It's the simplest possible app you can build. Link is in the Slack. We've got a support repo, which will be which us mentors and everyone at Jina will be updating as we go along with tips and tricks. And the tips I gave earlier are also on this repo. And of course, we would love you to go to our repo and just smash that star button. If you need help, we're always here for you on Slack. Ask any kind of question you want. There is nothing too basic, because this is coming from the guy who forgot to share his screen earlier. And like I said, the support repo. And if you have any tips you want to add to it, heck, just make a pull request. So yeah, that's all from me. And now over to Han, it's your turn.
Hello, everyone. Hi, this is Hans. I'm the CEO and founder of Jina AI. And I really welcome everybody to join this hackathon. And thanks AngelHack to co-organize this great event. And yes, so so Jina AI is a pretty new company. So we have our headquarters here in Berlin. And so the idea here is really to build to provide a new research solution in open source, and especially for those enterprise and also the developers, right? And before that, so if you imagine like the idea of new research is nothing new, right? But before Jina exists, the way that you want to develop such solution, new research solution, is you have to learn a little bit tech stacks from everywhere, right? So you have to learn a little bit TensorFlow, and then you learn a little bit MongoDB, you learn a little bit Elastic, and then you use 1 or 2 months to get everything together, and then make a prototype of this new research. Right? But then with Jina, right, with all these different layers of API, with Jina dashboard, with the YAML syntax that we provide, so you can now do this new research in a very professional way, but in just minutes, right? So this is the saving of the time is the first is only the first thing that we provide to you. But also, once you dig into Jina framework, you will realize how powerful and how easy to use in the cloud native settings, right? And so that being said, so I will leave the time to our host. And by the way, so if you haven't check our GitHub website, or you haven't started our GitHub website, GitHub repository, please do. And so this will also help us to improve Jina further, and also provides better support for the community, for the open source community. Well, thank you a lot. Yeah.
Hello, it's me again. Thank you. Thanks to Han and to Alex. I will tell you about the prizes. Next slide. Great. The gold prize, we have one gold prize of $5,000. We have 2 silver prizes for $2,000, and we have 5 bronze prizes of $500 each. The schedule. The schedule coding begins September 18th at 11 a.m. Central European Summer Time. And code freeze, where you need to submit your project, is September 20th at 12 Central European Summer Time. The schedule, day 1, which is today, all times are Central European Summer Time. From 10 to 11, our opening ceremony, which is being broadcast on YouTube live stream. Team formation happens next from 11 to 11:30. And we also have a happy hour on Run the World where you can meet other people who are looking for a team. Coding begins at 11. There's a breakout session from 2 to 3 p.m. Also broadcast on YouTube live stream. From 3 to 5, there are optional mentor office hours. And then from 5 to 6, you can either join the mentor office hours or join our Jina X Hackathon happy hour. Day 2, from 9, there are optional mentor office hours. From 2 to 3 is a breakout session. From 3 to 5 is an optional mentor office hour. And from 8 to 9 p.m. is a pitch workshop. And the final day, day 3, September 20th, from 10 a.m., there will be a pitch practice session. 12 p.m. is a submission deadline. We really encourage you to complete your projects. It's such an important part of starting this and doing this together. We really hope you continue the process and submit your project at 12 p.m. From 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be a round 1 judge deliberation. From 5 to 7, we're going to have final round pitches broadcast on YouTube live stream. And from 8 to 8:30, we will have a closing ceremony and awards, also broadcast on YouTube live stream. Judging criteria. Each submission will be scored in each round based on the following criteria, with a minimum score of 0 and a maximum score of 5 points, with the final score being the average of the judges' scores. Number 1, execution, 5 points. How well was the project executed and explained? Originality, how original, creative, or unique is this idea? And scalability, how scalable is the solution? And will it make an impact? Our judges, I'm really excited to introduce our judges. Here they are. We'll have Joanne Fontenals, an AI engineer of Jina, Dr. Nan Wong, co-founder and CTO of Jina, Dr. Ibrahim Haddad, executive director of LFAI Foundation, Lucia Loher, product manager of Jina, and Ben Wu, former Elastic architect. The mentors. If the mentors can please show your camera, that would be great as I introduce you. First, we have Susanna, software developer at Jina. We have James, an AI engineer at Jina. Rituja, AI engineer at Jina. We have Sergey, full stack engineer at Jina. We have Han, who you just heard speak. He's the founder and CEO at Jina. And Max, senior AI engineer at Jina. If everyone can give a wave, we're all here this weekend to hack, and we can't wait to work with you. The rules. So teams up to 5 participants are allowed. All team members must agree to the participation agreement to compete. Number 2, participants of this hackathon must be 18 years or older or have reached the age of majority in the relevant jurisdiction. Number 3, you may not begin your project until the competition officially begins. Please do not build on top of previous projects. Number 4, all participants must begin coding at the same time. We may enforce 1 project submission per team. Winning teams will be subject to a code review following the event or immediately before winning. Submission. So as I mentioned, we really encourage you to ask your questions and submit your projects at the end. So you can register your project at virtual.hackathon.io and ensure your submission will include the following: a project name and description, official open data reused URLs, evidence repository URL, and include Jina in requirements.txt, video URL, a maximum of 3 minutes, a demo URL if possible, and submit by noon Central European Summertime on Sunday, September 20th. The winner announcement. So we're in touch with you in a number of ways. Please, number one, check Slack throughout the hackathon. It's going to be the place where all key communication will be taking place. And also monitor your email for official announcements of the top teams who have moved to the final round of pitching. There's many ways to get support throughout the hackathon. If you need a team member, check out our team building roster. We have a document where if you're looking for teammates or looking to join a team, you can see other people who are looking. Also, I would encourage you to join our happy hour to meet other participants. You can look for announcements in our Slack group. If you want to be in touch with the mentors are really your greatest resource as you progress through the hackathon. You can reach out to them here on Slack, or you can join the mentor office hours and have a conversation. And absolutely check out the Jina support repo. All of these links are in your email and in Slack. And again, the submission deadline is 12 p.m. Central European Summertime on Sunday, September 20th. Jina X Hackathon is presented by AngelHack and Jina. Great, so I think we're ready to take some questions and answers. I will, if our mentors and the Jina team can be available here. Great, so. Okay, great. We have a question number one from Josh. Josh asks, what data sets are available pre-built into Jina? Oh, sorry. We'll move on to the next question.
I think a panelist said they wanted to answer that question. I just saw that come up in the Q&A box.
Oh, great. Okay.
So if you want to answer a question, just turn on your video and audio and jump in and answer it.
Hey, so in principle, we have some data sets in our examples, which is there are some lyrics in there and also some images, but we encourage you to get your own data set to play around with, or in our examples, take one of these data sets. We don't have any special data sets for the hackathon itself, which you should work on. So be creative, find your own data set, and yeah, get a nice solution for the problem you have yourself.
And if you want a good place to find free data sets, kaggle.com. That's got so much stuff.
Great. I will move to the next question. Thank you. So Sharya Jain asks, does Jina support mobile development integration? If I want to do anything with my device images with Jina? Alex, is there one of the mentors from your team that can answer that question?
Anybody? Don't be shy now.
So I think it's not, or we have at least never tested to run Jina directly on a mobile device, and especially when you load bigger models, Jina usually takes up quite a lot of memory. But anyhow, you can build a Jina on your server and then have on your mobile device an app or a website which somehow just accesses your Jina server. And then you can somehow display the results on the mobile device, but have the search engine on a server. But since Jina is built for neural search, usually these model stacks are quite big, and usually you have to load them completely into memory. So play around, check if you can make it run, but we have never done it. But we have done it on Raspberry Pi. So you might want to play on Raspberry Pi with it, but on a mobile, we have not done it.
That's right. So if you're developing something on Jina, you'll need to use a laptop or a desktop computer, like most programming. And I think doing it on mobile isn't going to be fun, or in this case, possible.
Great.
So there is
ahead.
one question that I like to answer for the from the chat. So Dipanshu asks, does Jina has a full right to use our code? Please share the details. What are the access rights of Jina to our code? Right. So first of all, the result. So basically, at the end of the day, you have to basically upload your code to GitHub, right? And when you do these things, usually you have to specify the open source license, and this is super important. So you can say Apache 2.0 or MIT license, and that is basically the right? So we basically we are also open source software, right? So we basically respect this license, right? So for example, Jina is in Apache 2.0, and you can also do Apache 2.0, or you can use MIT license. Whatever OSI approved license, open source license. OSI means open source initiative, right? So whatever license that is approved by OSI, and you can use this license. And we will, of course, respect those licenses, right? You have. So we don't have, so do we have right to use our code? So because your code is eventually it is an open source project, right? So you have the whatever rights that defined in the open source license that you select on GitHub, right?
Yeah,
Great.
I'll just say at Jina, we are super passionate about open source. That's why we release everything under an open source license. And it's only by working with other open source projects that we can be where we are. And with open source contributors like all of you out there as well. We couldn't do it without you, and we certainly couldn't do it without open source.
Great, thank you, Alex. Next question comes from Gurjan Saini. How can we build our application on Jina?
So there are a couple of ways. One of them, which is to use Cookie Cutter to create your first Jina app. One of the other questions has come up in the chat about some of the bugs we're facing with that. I believe those bugs will be all ironed out very soon, like in a matter of hours. But the other thing you can do is to go to our examples repo, take a look at some of those and edit them to do what you like. So we've got examples up there for text search, for image search, for cross-modal search. So yeah, take something you see, rip out the bits you don't like, put in some bits you do like, and yeah, play around with that.
Great.
Okay, so I see Dipanshu also asked, does Jina provide conversational AI support? Well, we don't do this directly because this is a very, very, let's say, domain specific application, right? Basically chatbot, right? Conversational AI is chatbot. And, but you know, a lot of this conversational AI can be implemented by neural search because by, well, in the core, so you are doing some semantic measuring, right? And this is what Jina is really good at, right? So we are not just, we can not only just measuring the semantics between two sentences, so you can measure it between two long documents. right? You can even measure between the text and images, the similarity between text and images. So I would say we are very general framework and like TensorFlow, right? So you can use TensorFlow to build a lot of things. So we are basically like that. And the same, so conversational AI is one domain-specific applications which can be implemented by using or like an ARP, this family of functionalities, right? So short answer, yes, but not directly. Yeah.
Great, thank you. From Irina, we have my quote, my first Jina app, end quote, with Jina equals 0.5.5 is indexing fine, but not searching generates an error. Can someone please confirm that the instructions are correct?
So we've been facing a few bugs with the My First Jina app and scrambling to fix them. I'm going to be downloading the latest version of the code straight after this and testing it all out myself. If it's indexing fine, then I mean, you've obviously installed all the requirements. So yeah, I'm going to take a look, but if you want to, well, I highly encourage everyone, if you find any issues like this, please, please, please leave an issue in our repository. It'll help us so much in finding out all the little bugs that have slipped through the nets. And yeah, we've got our engineers working on the My First Jina app. So hopefully within 2 hours, I hope, we'll have something fixed up. But yeah, I will post on the Slack when that's done.
Great, thank you. Can we use Jina for reverse non-human speech searching or not?
I've never heard a non-human speak.
Okay.
Does anyone?
Oh yes, we can do that. Non-human speech searching, basically the bird chirping, right? So you have this bird data set. You can Google bird chirping data set, and there is a huge data set. It's probably like a 5 gigabytes or something, right? I was going to do that like back in the days, but since it's too big, and I just want to cherry pick a very small one. I think we will have a example announced probably today. So my colleague Nan is working on that. But I'm not sure it's bird chirping or something, right? But of course, so basically non-human speech is basically some audio snippet, right? And we support audio snippet, right? Like I mean, by support means measuring the similarity between two audio documents. And this does not only mean like having the encoders, having the deep neural network to do this, but also have the whole end-to-end pipeline. Right.
Thank you.
And in a similar vein, you know, that's audio to audio search. And in this case, we're calling it non-human speech. But it could just as easily be, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but similar to Shazam, you search part of a song and it'll return the name of the song. So that's a nice cross-modal search example using, yeah, audio to text. But yeah, you could search any kind of sound similarity, not just a sound made by an animal or a human.
Great, thank you, Alex and Han. The next question is, I have a pre-trained model that I want to use. It requires TF1.15 and Python 3.7. What version of Jina is good to use for this versions?
I think you should.
Oh, sorry, there's a bit of, okay.
Okay, can you hear me now? I think you better to use TensorFlow 2.1.0 or above, because we are supporting those kind of models in that version. But you can have a try. And first of all, you need to, if you want to use your own pre-trained model, that would be good. And you need to submit your code into Jina Hub. Yeah, that's it.
Great,
And
thank you.
for submitting code into Jina Hub, can one of the mentors post a quick guide to the Slack about how people can do that as well?
Yeah, there's another comment from me on this question. Actually, you can make in Jina. We design for the cloud native framework. So actually, if you want to use TF 1 point something and some specific Python version for your model, you can just simply pack everything into the Docker image and then use it in the Jina pod. It's you can down it like a one-line code. It's really simple. Yeah. And actually, to fix all these dependency issues is one design principle we have in mind when we start working on the Jina project. Okay. Yeah. I hope I answered this question.
Thank you so much. Great. The next question is, will the winning teams have an opportunity to interview at Jina?
Well, yes.
Sure.
Yeah, Bill, you want to answer this question?
Sure. So for anyone who would be interested in Jina team, whether winning the game or participating or even not, or just interested, just extend your interest to Jina team by submitting your relative information like resume or anything else, sending that information to career@jina.ai. Our team will be getting in touch with you very shortly. And of course, it will be our honor to have the winning team with a very impressive solution to bring on board. We're more than excited to have such great talent to join the team.
Great, thank you, everyone. Oh, I have another question. Can Jina use pre-trained model with GPU support?
Yes. That's simple. Yes. So we do support GPU. Yes. So if you look at this, so you can look at the document. So there is a on-device parameter, and by basically setting that, so you can change the device allocation. So basically the same word that you work with TensorFlow or PyTorch is basically more or less the same thing. Yeah. Also, Irina, by the way, so the last question that you asked whether you should use which version of TensorFlow version or Python version. So Jina supports Python 3.7 and above. So from 3.7 to 3.8, so that's we support, right? I don't recommend you to use 3.9 because it's Python 3.9 is not very stable, and also a lot of like TensorFlow, they don't support Python 3.9. And regarding TensorFlow version, you want to use 1 point something, which is pretty old. But that is also possible. So the way to do that is you basically wrap your dependency into executor image, and this is basically what we post there, Jina Hub. So you can follow the guide on the guideline on Jina Hub and basically build your own executor by wrapping up all the dependency into one Docker image, right? And then in this case, so you don't have to worry about whatever dependency, whatever TensorFlow version that you have, right? It doesn't matter because this is isolated from the other environment, so this is a immutable image. Right? Yeah, so hope that answered your question.
Thank you so much. I think that's all of our questions. This has been a
hang on.
Oh, we have another one.
There are a few questions that were answered via text. They are in the answered tab of the Q&A. Maybe we should just go over those in the video as well for anyone watching on YouTube or watching later, so we can have a record of those.
Great. So the 15 answers, the 15 questions that were answered. Alex, is that the right one?
Yeah, that's the one.
And should we just read through them? Sure. Okay. Yep. So question is, can we deploy all the packages and build it into local system without dependency for Jina Cloud, sending requests to any external server? And we had Han who responded, yes, you can indeed run it in local without requiring any communication with an external server. From Deepanshu is number 1, is the live search prototype shown available to deploy on our system? And question 2, how can we customize the relevancy scores? For example, some of the search is not much relevant and I don't want to see this. Is there a way to do check on that? And Max responded, regarding number 1, yes, all examples are runnable on your local machine. Regarding number 2, that is totally possible. For this, we have a special family of ranker executors. For an example implementation of a customized scoring, see this link of github.com/jina-ai-jina-hub.
Let's not read through the whole link.
Okay, cool.
That's going to be a nightmare.
So there's a few links here. What data sets are available pre-built into Jina? Alex, is there answer on your side?
I'll just go through the rest of these questions because
Perfect.
Some of them we already answered via video, some of them we didn't.
Oh, great, yes.
The data sets available, we discussed it earlier. It was a previous question. We've got a few things built into our examples like Pokemon images, lyrics, but go to Kaggle or whatever site you prefer for data and yeah, find something cool. Blah, 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 blah.
We have a couple more open questions.
Okay. Do you want to read them out and then?
Sure. So this is a question for Han. Han, what is the difference between neural search / cognitive search / QA system?
Yeah, so I think Alex has already probably he did mention that in his slides, but basically the neural search, this term is actually not it's something that we invented, so it's okay that you never heard this term before. So we call ourselves a neural search company. So in academics, this is basically called neural information retrieval, right? So the idea is to use deep neural network as a cornerstone or the building block to build your search engine, right? So let's imagine, so when you build a search engine using, for example, using Elastic, you don't necessarily using deep neural network or deep learning in the technology stack, right? And so the idea of neural search is basically using deep learning as kind of like, as a building block. So you can use that for measuring the similarity, you can use that for pre-processing, you can use that for segmenting, you can use that for ranking, right? So it's not just like when you use a Google BERT that you measure the similarity between two sentences. In neural search, the basic building block is deep learning, right? It's deep neural network, right? So you can consider previously, function. We always say function is kind of like the first class citizen in some programming language, let's say in Python, in Java, in Scala, whatever. But in neural search, in a neural search system, AI model is the first class citizen in a neural search system, right? So this is basically the difference. Well, in general, when we talk about neural search, we talk about the end-to-end developer experience about the search system, right? And when we talk about semantic search, QA system, this could be either on a specific domain or is focused on one part of the pipeline, right? Not the whole part, not the end-to-end pipeline, right? So that's basically the explanation of that. So if you are interested in that, right? So if you're interested in knowing more about all the philosophical question about neural search, you can check out on my blog post, hanxiao.io. So there you will find out more discussion and more introduction on neural search, especially on generic neural search on this topic. Right.
Great, thank you. Next question. This is going to be our last question. How important is the solution's performance as compared to the novelty of the idea? Oh, Alex, could you unmute yourself?
Okay,
yeah.
So we have the judging criteria, which you've all seen, and it's in the Slack, it's everywhere. Personally, I would love to see more novel solutions, because that's all about using Jina for new and interesting things. Performance is important to a point. I mean, it has to be able to run reasonably quickly, or not horrendously slowly at least. But yeah, go out there, be wild, be crazy, create something completely bananas, if you like. We're all about novelty.
Amazing. Thank you, Alex, and thank you everyone for all of your wonderful questions. This has been such an exciting session. Next up is team formation. So if you look at the link in the chat, there's a new platform called Run the World. We're going to be doing speed networking. For each, you'll have 5 minutes to chat with a new participant, and yeah, you'll have 5 minutes, and every 5 minutes, you're going to be meeting someone new. This is going to be going on for an hour, so stay on for as long as you like. Great, yeah, this is the happy hour. You just go to the bottom where it says RSVP, and you can enter your details, and then you will be emailed the link. You register and you can join the platform, and it's really fun. I really recommend it. Great. Thank you, everyone. We will see you throughout the hackathon. See you on Slack, and thank you for joining. Hopefully see you on the happy hour.